All right, so
Okay.
hey, it's DROdio with Founder Culture, and I'm here with Jabu. It's amazing to be just talking to you.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, what a pleasure.
Always great to be with you.
Likewise. So we're down in LA.
We are in LA.
Yep, about to go to a great Founder Culture dinner. It's going to be a lot of fun. Glad we were able to grab some time together.
So rare and so precious because of that. Yeah.
So we have worked together for a while, and it's been
have.
just an absolute pleasure to have you as a resource in my life.
Thank you.
So let's give you a proper introduction though.
Okay.
So Jabu Dayton, the founder of Jabu HR.
Correct.
But can you talk a little bit about you, about your
Sure.
background, some of the work that you're doing? Let's start there.
Yeah, definitely. So I have sort of a combination of big corporation, 13 years at a company called Nordstrom Retail. And I worked for them in retail and corporate in progressive HR roles. So I sort of got exposed to everything from baristas and restaurant workers to salespeople to engineers in tech and security and sort of all the complexities of hourly and salary workers. And then I moved to South Africa to start a business. So I have a little bit of that entrepreneurial spirit, and that was a whole other story, but taught me quite a lot. And on my way back, I actually landed at Airbnb in 2011, and I became their first head of HR. So that was really an introduction to tech, an introduction specifically to HR tech, which is a very different, HR in tech, I should say, which is a really much
Special
more
and unique.
expansive, I was going to say expansive and creative, and definitely unique and special, and really much more challenging and creative. So I fell in love with the space and the challenges therein. And through that opportunity, I had a chance to be around the 40th employee, help guide them to 500 domestic and international, and help take the customer service team from 16 people remote to 80. And that was also domestic and international. So it was an amazing, amazing experience, exposure not just to tech HR, but international tech HR, which is an even more interesting thing.
Yep. And you've had a few CPO roles at tech companies as well.
Yeah, I wanted to sit at the table. These guys need my help.
Yep. So you've been in that early scale-up stage.
Yes.
And you've also been in the large corporate environment as well.
Yes.
And you've been in these leadership HR roles in our world, in the tech world, which is
best world to be in.
Yeah, so relevant because many of the founders in founder culture are where Airbnb was at the beginning. That, 30, 40, 50 people just raised these monster rounds. Rounds these days are just ridiculous.
They're ridiculous.
So these scale-up founders that are now facing the
intense pressure.
Intense pressure.
10 million in seed. Yeah. So we work with clients that are anywhere from 0 to 100. It's kind of our sweet spot. It's the most interesting spot for me intellectually, emotionally, and it's a spot where founders need the most support. So most of the founders I work with have never been a CEO or COO or CTO before, CFO, and they just need everything from emotional support to how do I stay compliant? I'm hiring employees in multi-state. I've got Gusto. It doesn't seem to be working. Please help me. So we come in and help build.
Yeah, and I can tell you from personal experience, one of the most just joyous and appreciated aspects of working with you when you were helping us at Armory is that someone to call. Someone
to
like
call.
the CEO doesn't have a
Your
lot
own
of people
person.
to call.
Yes.
And a lot of investors play that role, which is great. Having an investor, like a great board member to call, super valuable.
But it's still.
But it's different. It's different than having a Jabu to call.
Strengths.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I try to offer a safe place. It doesn't mean I won't be direct with you and say.
Oh, you were very direct with me. I think if anything, it means that is the thing that is so amazing is how direct.
Super
you
direct.
have always been.
Yeah.
And
loving.
Yes, very loving.
But very direct. Because who else is going to do that with you? There's no one else. People will watch you, spend $60 million, and they'll come after it's gone. And be like, well, if I were you, I would have done this.
Totally.
Fuck you. That's
that
not
doesn't
helpful.
help. Yeah,
Can I swear on this?
Oh, of course. We can do whatever we want. It's founder culture. There are no rules in founder culture. So the Airbnb, I think let's talk for a second about the Airbnb experience, because I imagine if someone's watching this, that's the thing that they're going to say, wow, I want to hear more about that.
Totally.
So you helped grow Airbnb from 40 to 500 people.
Right.
I think I heard, were you opening a dozen offices internationally?
I was.
In the span of what?
Yes. Now, granted, I was helping do that. There were people on the ground doing it that I adore to this day. But that was, an interesting time for me coming straight from corporate.
Yeah.
So I had to learn how to get agile and flexible. And the founders at the time were like, look, we got to move. You kind of got to get over it. Like, we'll fix it afterwards if we need to. So learning how to release some of that is what I help founders do too. Like, hey, we can let that one go for a minute and just, we're not 50 people yet. Like, let's focus on A, B, and C. We'll catch that later.
So prioritizing the urgent and important things.
Yes, because they don't know.
Right,
they're totally overwhelmed. Everybody's yelling at them. They're getting these emails from Gusto saying da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
You get what you pay for with services like that. And I know it's like the favorite right now. But a lot of my clients are moving to the person that I like to work with best.
Who is that? Let's talk about it.
Women-founded company called Centricity with an integration with Rippling.
Yep.
And that's a key differential. So what you're looking for, and you want to anti-fragile your company at this stage. So let's say you don't have an HR person. I'm maybe there advising. Maybe you have a EA or chief of staff or someone that's filling that gap. But how do you make sure people are paid, the benefits are tight and competitive with other companies? And your people can call a number and get amazing service and attention, and they're not treated like another number or another cog in the wheel. So,
I mean, we made that move at Armory. So we were using Gusto, and actually, it's interesting. I've talked to some of the leaders at Gusto who said they are very focused on the SMB,
right?
And they fully admit and accept that that many tech startups are going to outgrow them. And I think it was around 50 people, if I remember correctly, that started breaking.
Yep.
And you and Bree, who also was a people leader at Armory, brought in Centricity and Rippling, and it was phenomenal.
Yeah.
Like the white glove service of Centricity. Well, I think it's a shame that more people don't know about them. They did such a great job.
Yeah.
And Rippling has been a great platform. So we've lived that transition. Thank you.
And I just want to you're so welcome. And I just want to thank you for letting me do that, first of all. And I just want to underline that this is a woman-founded company, and I want to hold your founders accountable with hiring vendors and supporting sort of companies that are themselves diverse and inclusive. Like, just because your investor says go with ... doesn't mean that that's maybe the platform for you.
Yeah.
Given all of your values and the things that I know your founders are concerned about, you may not feel like you have time to vet that, so I can help you do that.
There's a whole other video that we could make about DEIB and the importance of it and that whole journey. I think one really interesting and valuable aspect of it that you're mentioning is DEIB does not end with your employee base in your company.
Not at all.
You're saying
do more.
Right, exactly.
Do more.
And in fact, it was you that shared that Willie Jackson video, be an accomplice, not just an ally. So this would be, I do love it. Yeah, this would be a great way to be an accomplice, not just an ally. Right, go out and source those vendors.
Right, and real talk. Like, there are some companies that are not diverse in terms of their employee demographic. So how do you still stay contributing to that broader community? There's many ways to do it. So just never giving up and holding yourself to the highest standard.
Great point. Okay, so what are some of the top lessons or learnings from Airbnb? Like the things that you bring in when you're working with these founders, doing a thought partner to them and helping them go from 0 to 100. What are some of the themes that keep coming up, whether it's Airbnb or not?
So Airbnb, TaskRabbit, Ship, lengthy. I hopped around a bit. I think the biggest sort of, and actually I've seen this change quite a bit. You and I were talking about trends in this space. The founders that are coming and finding me are like people that are so intentional about culture and people that they might be only 4 people and they're like, Jabu, we want you on board and we will make sure we can afford you because we don't want to make these mistakes. Like, we don't even care what they are. Like, just help us do this. And finding, I would say one of the more obvious things, like, you're going to have this sense of like, I don't have a lot of resources and I want to bring in people I know. Making sure those people are really well suited to the roles and vetted. If you're going to bring in family members, then making sure that they can walk the walk with you and talk the talk with you and have the skill sets to do what you need them to do. There are stages in the company where certain things that worked earlier may or may not work later. And so just having someone that'll reflect those things with you and coach you through those different stages is really key. Yeah.
So I think one thing that you said that, like, if I'm a founder watching this, or I guess as me speaking to a founder who's watching this, it's so easy to be reactive and not proactive around HR.
That's
like, it's important but not urgent. Or it doesn't feel as urgent as other things feel.
It won't.
And the thing, and then on the flip side, I think the challenge is also when you are proactive, a lot of the problems never happen.
They don't.
So it's not immediately obvious that it was right to be proactive either. So that makes it really hard.
And you don't get to pat yourself on the back. Because it's like the people that make sure the bombs don't go off. Like no one cares. Like nothing happens. So we're like the bomb squad.
You're like the bomb squad. But incredibly important. And to any founder who's watching this, that intentionality early. I did that vision, mission, values whiteboard about being intentional and proactive about many of these values pieces in culture. This is like Jabu is basically an accelerant. Like you put like lighter fluid on the fire to make it burn. Like she'll accelerate your learning on how to not make those mistakes.
Whether you want it or not. And to that point about values, we have someone on our team, Emily Joffrian, who is ridiculously amazing on helping you navigate and articulate what are your values. Like that sounds kind of stupid, like you would think it's actually not that easy sometimes to articulate what's in your heart. And so what makes you special and compelling to the candidates that you want to attract, not always have to go out and source yourself. And then my recruiter, Leslie Allegria, first generation Peruvian, an amazing resource where diverse and inclusive recruiting is. So we're kind of hitting on all fronts, and the clients that can afford to do all three of us together at one time, they end up launching with this amazing platform that scales with them.
That's so awesome. Okay, so to sum this up, you are a thought partner to the CEO from 0 to 100. You help with the HR, the thinking through it, the infrastructure, the actual vendors, bringing in great vendors, compliance, all of that. And then you have partners, resources that also come in around recruiting, as well as the defining the values of the company and kind of setting all that up to be able to do great recruiting in the first place. And most of this is preventative, for lack of a better word. There's probably a better word, but we want to help you set up not just, so most recruiting agencies are just throwing people at you and hoping they're calibrating. They've got so much going on. They don't have really time to sit with you and be intentional in the way they might hope. So we actually sit with you. We learn sort of the ins and outs of your culture at the same time. So say we're workshopping on culture with Emily, Leslie and I are pulling that information so that we can use it in our work. And then we build out your recruiting. How do you interview? What questions are you asking? What ATS, applicant tracking system, that you use? How does it integrate with your actual culture? What is your scripting like? We actually give them scripts to use. We teach, generally speaking, the hiring managers haven't been hiring managers before. So we're teaching them how to hire and how to take care of people through the candidate process. Such an amazing resource. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
So thankful that you're as passionate about this early startup space as all the founders and founder culture are. If you're a founder and you're watching this, please reach out to Jabu. It is the best decision that you will make to help scale your company from the early days.
Thank you. Thank you guys.
All right.